Today, we're diving into a feeling that's both deeply personal and weirdly universal. That knot of guilt so many women feel when they try to say one tiny two-letter word. No. We're going to get into why that is, and more importantly, what we can do about it. Just picture it. Your phone lights up. It's a text from a coworker. The request isn't, world-ending, but it's annoying. It totally messes with the weekend you'd planned for yourself, the one you need to just recharge. And yet, before you can even think, you feel it, that all too familiar tightness in your gut. Yeah, if that feeling of instant, automatic guilt sounds familiar, you are so not alone. This isn't some personal flaw you have. It's a shared experience, and we're about to unpack exactly why it happens and how to break free.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at this invisible weight of saying yes, then dig into the architecture of guilt itself. After that, we'll talk about the real cost of people-pleasing. And then, the good part, we'll get into a framework for saying no and see the amazing ripple effect it can have.
First up, the invisible weight of yes. Think of it like this. Every time you agree to something you just don't have the time or energy for, you're putting another little stone in your backpack. It's so important to get that this pressure isn't just in your head. It's a silent cultural script that millions of women have been handed. So, that brings us to the million-dollar question. Why? Why is this feeling of guilt so incredibly powerful? If we want to change the pattern, we've got to understand where it comes from, the very architecture of how this guilt gets built inside us. Well, it starts really early with something psychologists call gender role socialization. Basically, from the time we're little, girls often get praised for being sweet and helpful, right? While boys are encouraged to be assertive. This isn't biology, it's years and years of conditioning that teaches women their value is somehow tied to being of service to others. And if you think this is just a vague feeling, the data is staggering. Research from Dr. Linda Babcock at Carnegie Mellon found that women say yes to those non-promotable, office housework kind of tasks almost 50% more often than their male colleagues. It's not just a feeling, it's a measurable, documented behavior. And this pressure, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It gets amplified by our environment. In some cultures, group harmony is everything, so saying no feels like a betrayal. A lot of religious traditions hold up self-sacrifice as a top-tier feminine virtue. And let's be real, economically, women often face the likability penalty, where being assertive can actually cost you, socially and professionally. All this conditioning creates a very specific psychological phenomenon, rejector guilt. It's that sharp, painful distress you feel at the mere thought of disappointing someone. And this is real physical stuff. Brain scans show that for many women, the parts of the brain tied to empathy are firing on all cylinders in these moments, making that feeling of guilt feel incredibly intense. And this leads to what Dr. Harriet Breaker calls the people-pleasing paradox, which is just a cruel trap. You say yes to dodge the guilt, but then you immediately feel resentful and drained. That can mean you end up doing the task poorly, which then makes you feel guilty for a whole new reason, for not being good enough. So what do? You overcompensate by saying yes even more. It's a brutal, vicious cycle. And that cycle, it has a very real, very measurable cost. This isn't just about feeling a little stressed out. This constant accommodation takes a serious toll on us, which brings us to the high price of people-pleasing. Just look at this number. A study from Chapman University found that women with poor boundary-setting skills had a 40% higher rate of anxiety disorders. That is a direct, undeniable link between this habit of saying yes and our mental health. And it's not just mental, it's physical. We're talking biology here. That same research shows that chronic people-pleasing leads to way higher levels of cortisol, the body's main stress hormone. Your body is literally having a physical stress reaction to this psychological pattern. Okay, we've laid out the problem and its costs. It's a lot, I know. But now for the empowering part, the part where we fight back. This section is your practical, hands-on toolkit for finally saying no and building boundaries that feel right for you. The very first step, according to emotional agility expert Dr. Susan David, happens inside your own head. It's about rewriting your internal story. The old story says, if I say no, I'm selfish, I'm difficult. The new, much more powerful story is, saying no to things that don't serve me gives me the space and energy to say a huge, wholehearted yes to the things that actually matter. So how do you actually do that in the moment? Use this super simple 4-part framework. Number 1, The pause. Just buy yourself some time. A simple, let me check my calendar and get back to you works wonders. 2. The values filter. Ask yourself, does this actually align with my priorities right now? 3. The clean no. Be direct, be brief, no long apologetic excuses. And 4, if they push back, use the broken record technique. Just calmly and politely repeat your boundary.
And here's a tiny language shift that is a total game changer. Research inspired by Dr. Vanessa Patrick shows that saying I don't is way more powerful than I can't. See, I can't this weekend sounds temporary, like it's negotiable. But I don't work weekends, that's a policy. That's part of who you are. It establishes a firm boundary that's much harder to argue with.
Let's get even more practical. Here are some scripts you can literally just steal and adapt. To a colleague, instead of a flat no, try this. I'm at capacity right now. To take this on, what current project should I deprioritize? See what that does? It states your limit clearly, but also shifts the problem solving back to them. It's brilliant. Now, this is not going to feel comfortable overnight, not at all. You have to build up your guilt tolerance like a muscle at the gym. Start super small, like saying no to an unwanted store email. Then maybe say no to a low-stakes social invite. You gradually increase the weight, and you'll find that the guilt you were dreading is almost always worse in your head than in reality. And for when that guilt does bubble up, because it will, use this amazing tool from self-compassion expert Dr. Kristen Neff. It's a 3-step break. First, just acknowledge it. Wow, this feels hard. Second, remember our common humanity. I'm not the only one who feels this way. And third, offer yourself some kindness. May I be kind to myself right now? It sounds simple, but it's incredibly effective at calming that emotional storm. Okay, last section, and this is so important. Setting boundaries is not selfish. In fact, it's transformative. It creates this positive ripple effect that goes way, way beyond just you. I mean, the benefits for you are obvious: less anxiety, more energy, a huge boost in self-respect. But for others, you become a role model for daughters, nieces, younger colleagues. And for society as a whole, every single time you set a healthy boundary, you are helping to rewrite that old, tired script that says women must be endlessly accommodating. So to wrap all of this up, let's put it into a simple acronym you can remember: the BRAVE method. B is for breathe and buy yourself some time. R is for run the request through your values filter. A is for assert your decision clearly. V is for validate your own discomfort. It's okay that this feels weird at first. And E is for evaluate and iterate. See what works and adjust as you go. And let's end on this thought. That guilt you feel when you start saying no, it is not a stop sign. It is not a signal that you are doing something wrong. It is the sound of decades of old programming short-circuiting as you step into new, powerful growth. It's the sound of you, finally, beginning to live your own life.